It is Thursday, April 17th of the common year 2005, aka 5785, and this is the Nexus. Welcome to the Nexus, everybody. A Thursday hangout here on Rumble, inviting you to join in right here every Thursday at 8 p.m. Central American Time. Hopefully, this will be the last Central Daylight Time. And going over here in the live chat right now on all of our platforms here. We're streaming on Rumble. We're also streaming at X and YouTube as well. So when you see this link over here on the side, this link over here, it says Rumble Studio. That's the link to join in the conversation, which I hope you will. Now, I'm hoping that our friend Yohanan, that John's going to stop by. He was wanting to get the link. I send the link on Facebook. Hopefully, he'll be here, and Rosalie will be joining us in a bit as well. We are in the middle of the Jewish holiday of Passover. Now, I say we're in the middle of it. It's not actually we who are in the middle. Non-Jews like me and Rosalie and whatnot do not celebrate Passover. It's a Jewish holiday. And we can there's a Seder that they have for people who might have missed the first one, and we can be invited to that. However, I have not given the secondary circumcision, so I don't get to join in. I hope that everything's working and that we have sound. According to my end, we have sound, and that's it's amazing when things run smoothly here, technically here at the Nexus. Passover. What is Passover about? Liberation. Liberation. That's right. And a few questions are asked about Passover, and even more is, what's in it for me? What's in it for you? What's the story of Passover good for? Why should we learn it? Why should we care? Even if we're not Jewish, even if you're not a Noahide, you might be Christian or Muslim. In this day and age, with what's going on in the world right now, the fight for true liberation from tyranny is no more at its peak than it has, or is more at its peak now than it ever has been in history. We're having, for instance, a few weeks ago, apparently there was a global jihad called, and nobody jihaded. In fact, well over half the Muslim community is like, no, I don't think we want to go to war against Israel anymore. Maybe it's not so good that we constantly try to make war. And it's smart thinking, and it's surprising a lot of people because there we go. Now we're lit up here. So you gotta get the Tron headphones going on. Get the Tron effect. Check these little bad boys out. My wife got them for me. Not my mom, but my other mom. Mom, I got two. Hi, Mom, if you're watching. Mom tunes in once. My mom tunes in once in a while. Okay, where was I? What was I discussing? Liberation. Oh yes. There's a saying in America about the tree of liberty has to be watered with the blood of patriots. The blood once in a while has to be spilled for the tree. No, I don't believe in human sacrifice. Self-sacrifice is a different story. However, we live in a time when more people are ready to live with their neighbors in peace than we have before. Nobody really wants war anymore. It was real easy to get us. I thought about something the other day that, when Iran and its allies can repeatedly, save Russia and China, repeatedly call on the end of the United States and death to the United States, and we do nothing, as a country. But when after the Japanese bombed us in the 40s and last century at Pearl Harbor, all that Hitler had to do was just say, "I'm going to war with America," and everybody was on board because it's like, "Oh, you want to threaten us? You want to say that you want to kill us? You want to go to war with us? Is that what you want? Well, we accept." And that's the old America. Is we were ready for it. We were ready to go to war and flatten the people who threatened us, and we did. At what cost? I don't know. But we have a regime over here who's actively uh, less successful, but no less driven as Hitler would be driven, saying the same thing, and everybody, oh no, 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 we can't. Oh, we can't get into war with them. Oh, that'll be messy. We won't be able to. We can't win that war. That'll take. We'll be in there for 20 years, and all the excuses we can. Do I want war with Iran? No. I like the Iranian regime, the caliphate that rules the people over there, to off themselves. I know that's not a Torah solution, but it's better than war. So yeah. Hi, Rosalie. Rosalie just stepped in the room. She doesn't have her microphone on, or she doesn't have her camera on, but I bet she's got a mic. How you doing, Rosalie?
I'm okay.
All right, here she
I'm
is.
tired. I'm tired. I worked hard today.
You did?
Yeah.
Well, welcome to your time off.
Yeah.
Glad to have you here.
Yeah, I
Thanks for
posted
joining.
the partial now in the side chat already.
And you'll see that over there. It looks like this. This is the, oh, I can't. I thought I could show these. Only Rumble participants can see Rosalie. Well, Rosalie, I'm going to share it with the folks on X and YouTube as well,
Okay.
because they can read too. We'll put that over there. And there's a
Right.
lot of good
It's
reading
the
we'll get
sixth
to.
it's the sixth day of Passover. There's one
Yes.
for each day.
So this is what the link looks like if you want to, when you want to look at the text, which we'll be getting to. I might just read the whole thing, all 8 days. And then you'll see over here, this is what the link to join us here in the studio, as Rosalie's doing now. If you have a camera, we'd love to have you. If you have a virtual camera, you can have a little icon and go up too, and you don't even need to have a camera on. So please join us. We would love to have you. It's a live show. We do this every Thursday. We would like you to join in. That's why we have the link up there. Take your calls, your questions, comments, compliments, complaints, suggestions, all that good stuff.
Did you send a link to John?
I did. I sure did.
Okay.
And I saw him on Facebook, but we'll see. Sometimes John gets here and sometimes he doesn't. I hope he does.
Okay.
So is it wrong for
Me
me, do you
too.
think, Rosalie, to say that it's better to go to war? Or, I mean, it's better to just wish that the caliphate, the regime in Iran, they'd all just kill themselves. Is that wrong? Am I wrong for wishing that?
No.
Because you're not supposed to commit
I
suicide, but when the right people do it, I mean, you got to cheer it on. I mean, um,
yeah, you're not supposed to, but hey,
yeah, they can
they're
go.
still his they're still his children too.
Yes, yes. So I was, it's Passover. I was discussing liberation, and this being the greatest time for liberation and earning that freedom. Um, how did the Jews warrant liberation from Israel? They never forgot God. They stayed religious. They cried out to him, and he heard their cries. I think that's what's really going to save Israel now. Yes, they have weapons. Yes, they're clever, and they've been preparing for this. But I think what really saves them is
Extremely.
the more Jews who keep Torah, the more Jews who keep a relationship and talk to God, the better off they're going to be off in the end. I think I think
And
with
us
God
as
on their
well.
side, huh?
And the rest
What'd
of
you
the
say?
world as well.
Yeah.
And the rest of
Oh
the
yeah.
world as well.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. The so people want it to, people don't want war, and those who do are gaining less favoritism. I'd say 10 years ago, if you call it global jihad, there'd be a much more
You didn't.
bigger support from the Muslim people than there is now. What was that, Rosalie? Did you say? I thought you said something. Oh, okay. So yeah, earn it. You earn your freedom. Yeah. Now I'll admit that it
Didn't say
was.
anything.
Oh, okay. I wonder if I'm behind.
Nope.
Okay. Well, what we can learn in the West from this stuff is one, how it works with God and Israel. It's measure for measure. Mentioned last week, God playing both sides of a war. Look, go to Kabbalah of Adam and listen to Uncle Mike talk about the first war. It's a two-part class, two-part look into the first war, and we're coming up on the last. The first war you can get in Genesis 14. That's when it starts, and there's a lot to unpack because they just kind of cram a whole bunch of people into a paragraph, and you have to go to each one to find out what's going on. And that there is an angel to help with one side of this war. Well, we're coming up on the very last war. Russia and Ukraine, bullocks. That's a skirmish compared to what's going to come, and it's going to be to everyone's surprise. Everybody will know by the outcome of this war. They will know that God is real. It's going to be so out of this world and so far to left field, and the world's going to get it. And it will involve the Jews. The Jews' freedom is important. And this is truly one of the greatest holiday of freedom. Actually, it's one of the few holidays or festivals and their holy days. This is a holy day. God himself set this aside, or commanded Israel set this aside. At the 15th of Nisan, the first month, in the month of spring, is actually what Torah says. He doesn't name one of the Babylonian names for the months, but certainly the month of spring. And spring sprung here, right after that full moon. Spring sprung here in the great state of Kansas. Excuse me. So anyway, and when it says to earning your freedom, yeah, I was talking about Jefferson and how he said sometimes the tree of liberty has to be spilt with the blood of patriots. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think you can water the tree with water. I think that you can take care of a tree and it'll grow. I mean, with the liberty being the need to spilled blood, is to say there needs to be an enemy. There has to be an enemy to liberty in order for the tree to survive. And I don't like that. I get what he's saying to some extent. It's nice and poetic and very Jeffersonian. But I don't really know if that's the truth. Yes, Israel right now has to kill some bad guys. They have to shed some blood. I had somebody say, what would Jesus do when it comes to Israel and how Israel's so wrong and everything? And they were asking this article. I don't even remember who wrote it. I think, what would Jesus do? Like Jesus said, pick up
There
a
you go.
sword. You know, well, give to Caesar
Pick
what's
up a
Caesar.
what?
Sword.
Right.
Didn't Jesus say that? Right? So to my Christian friends out there, the God gives rules and outline for war, and Israel has to have this war. Israel
I
will be
don't
free
remember.
after this. So let's get to reading. I think if you're going to be following along at home, we have different days of Passover, and it's basically in the book of Exodus. We're going to start at chapter 2, verse 21. This is the reading that's set aside for Passover each day, and I figure we just go through all 5 days here. Actually, there's 8 days. There are 5 sections to each day, so I'll just let you know where we start on each day. We do that. Does that sound good, Rosalie? I definitely think we have a delay. Oh, Rosalie's gone. Okay, well, we'll do this together then. Here we go. We're at Exodus chapter 12, verse 21. Moses summoned all the elders of Israel and told them to instruct the Israelites as follows. Draw yourselves away from idolatry. Get your family's lambs or kids from your flocks, or acquire them for yourselves in the market. On the 14th of Nisan, on the month of spring, slaughter the Passover offering. You must take a bundle of 3 stalks of hyssop and dip it in the blood that is collected in the basin, and use it to apply some of the blood in the basin to the lintel and to doorposts. None of you may go out of your entrance of this house until morning. God will pass through Egypt to strike the firstborn of Egypt. He will see the blood on the lintel and on the two doorposts. God will mercifully pass over the entrance to your house or houses and not allow the destructive plague to enter your houses to strike you. You must observe the practices of Passover as a rule for you and your children forever. You must maintain this service only once you have come into the land that God will give you, as he has spoken. When your children ask, "What is this service of yours?" you must answer, "It is the Passover offering to God, who passed over the houses of the Israelites in Egypt when he plagued the Egyptians and spared our homes." The people bowed down and prostrated themselves. The Israelites went and did so just as God had instructed Moses and Aaron. Moses and Aaron did so as well. It was at midnight that God struck down every firstborn in Egypt, from the firstborn of Pharaoh sitting on the throne to the firstborn of the prisoner in the dungeon, as well as every firstborn animal. Pharaoh rose in the night, he, all his courtiers, all the Egyptians, and there was a great outcry in Egypt, for there was no house where there was not someone dead. He called out for Moses and Aaron in the night and said, "Get up and get out from among my people, you and the children of Israel too, and go and serve God as you said. Take both your flocks and your cattle just as you stipulated, and go and bless me too." The Egyptians also urged the people on, hurrying them out of the land, for they said, "We are all dying." The people took their dough before it was leavened, with their leftover food wrapped in their clothes on their shoulders. The Israelites did as Moses said, and requested silver and gold utensils and clothing from the Egyptians. God granted the people favor in the eyes of the Egyptians, so that they loaned them these items, giving them more than they asked for. They thus drained Egypt of wealth. The Israelites journeyed from Ramesses to Sukkot. They numbered about 600,000 men on foot, besides children. Moreover, a mixed multitude went up with them, as well as flocks and cattle, a great deal of livestock. The Israelites baked the dough they had brought out of Egypt into cakes of matzah, since it had not leavened, for they had been driven out of Egypt and could not delay, nor had they prepared any other provisions for themselves. The length of time that the Israelites had lived in Egypt and other locals was 430 years. At the end of 430 years, on that very day, all the hosts of God left Egypt. The night preceding this day was a night of expectation for God to take them out of Egypt. This was the night that God referred to when he said, "On this night I will redeem your descendants." This night remains an annual time of protection for all the Israelites throughout their generations. God said to Moses and Aaron, "This is the law of the Passover sacrifice. No stranger to God may eat of it. If there be a non-Jewish bondsman whom a Jewish man buys for money, you must circumcise him, and then he may eat of it. Neither a resident alien nor a non-Jewish hired laborer may eat of it. It must be eaten by a single group. You must not take any of the meat out of the group, nor break any of its bones. The entire community of Israel will offer it up." This is why I'm saying that the neither a resident
I keep getting knocked out of here.
yeah. Hi, welcome back.
I keep getting knocked out of here.
I'm in Exodus 12:48.
Exodus 12:48.
Yeah, I started on the first day.
Okay.
I'm about to finish off the first day.
Okay. I'm over in day 2 now.
Now it's
Move.
Gerar, or is it, was that, let me see, Gimel Resh. Yeah. So when a convert among you offers up the Passover sacrifice, all the males of his household must be circumcised, and only then may he draw near to offer it up. He will be just like the native citizen. No uncircumcised man may eat of it. So you have to fully convert to be able to take part in the Passover offering. I can't do it. Vasily can't do it. But if
I
we
sent
convert,
you. Yes, you can. Yes, we can.
oh yeah,
On the second day, you bet.
on this, yes, on the right. I mentioned that earlier, but on the actual on the night of Passover on the 14th of Nisan when you start.
That's pretty good.
On all the Israelites, there must be one law for the native Israelite and for the convert who lives among you. And that is Hager, the Ger, who lives among you. All the Israelites did as God instructed Moses and Aaron, and Moses and Aaron did so also. It was on this very same day God took the Israelites out of Egypt with all of their hosts. Okay. Oh, is somebody here? Hey, look who's here. He should be coming in. I just gave an accept. Where does he go? Hope he's still around. Did we lose him? Well, I guess we lost him. That was John. But there he is. Welcome, Mr. Geshala. And then there went Rosalie. Oh well, you are muted, John. Just to let you know. Welcome to the show.
There we go. Oh, okay.
All right.
It's through Rumble before. I only done it through StreamYard, so I'm not sure how it works.
Welcome. How you doing?
I'm doing okay. Baruch Hashem.
Good.
That's good. Doing well.
It's good to see you. There you go. Now we're prepared.
Yeah.
Happy Passover.
Chag Sameach.
Just reading out a kabod. Was going to go through all the days of Passover, but I'm not sure my voice will handle it, so I might just go ahead and skip to today. What you got? I didn't see that. I was.
The Gutnick edition.
Oh yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. We can hear you.
Okay.
So Chabad come out with a new Chumash. There's a Gutnick edition, the brown one, but this is now their new official one that they have.
Purdy. Nice. So that is the Gutnick. Just
No,
a new
no.
edition.
The Gutnick is the old version. This is their new one. This is their new version.
Chabad.
Okay. Cool. You got something good in there to share?
Sure. What's this week's Torah portion?
We're on
Numbers, Pesach, day 6.
Yeah. Which would be Numbers Bamidbar chapter 9, verse 1.
9 verse 1.
And it goes through
Bamidbar 9. Okay, let's see. 9. Let's see. Chapter 9, verse what?
verse 1.
God spoke to Moses in the Sinai desert.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Passover in the desert. Okay, yeah. Even though the Israelites were technically exempt from offering the Pesach sacrifice until they entered the land of Israel, they must nonetheless offer up a Passover sacrifice here in the desert at its appointed time. And at all times, they must offer up the Pesach sacrifice at its appropriate time, even if it happens to fall on Shabbat. So that's very important right there. What I like about this, Chumash is that it adds it's the Hebrew, and then they kind of they get there's these words in black, the dark words. Okay, those are the straight out what the Torah is saying, and then the non bold font is kind of like maybe a little bit added, because you can't really truly translate the Torah. So the words that they can like precisely translate, they have it in bold, and the words that they kind of give a little sway to, they kind of have it not in italic. So
For
it'll
the
help you
English language.
understand. Yeah, it'll help you understand. So a little bit of commentary, James. Let's see. This is commentary for verse 7, chapter 9, verse 7. It says these Jews understood that they could not bring a sacrifice which everyone else they preferred to buy this because they were defiled. But they said, why are we still left out? So even though they were unclean, so people don't know there's actually two Pesachs. You have the Pesach that's happening now, and then you have a second Pesach in 30 days for those who are ritually unclean. And this is actually a commandment that the people themselves wanted. So this wasn't given to Moses by God, but this was actually requested upon the people. And it was actually requested upon those who converted during the Exodus process. So those people who left Egypt, they got the 10 Commandments, Baruch Hashem, but whatever reason, they were impure, they were in a state of impurity, whatever the case may be. Maybe they didn't fully convert yet. Maybe they were just Noahides, ready to convert, and they didn't quite make the deadline. Here they're saying, no, we want a Pesach too. And God says, you know what? You're going to get it too. In 30 days, we're going to have a second mini Pesach just for you. So there you go. For all those out there, he said they cry out, may God also grant us a holiday and an opportunity. And so this also tells us the Lubavitcher also says you're never out without a chance. There's always a second chance in Judaism. You're never. There's always some chance again to make it right. And we must live by their example. But because we are living in exile, we too are spiritually defiled, and we cannot bring a Pesach offering. So we must also cry out to God, demanding an opportunity to connect with Him. So that's awesome. I love that. I love the commentary from the Rebbe.
Yeah, it goes down and says pretty much that in verse 10.
Yeah.
Let's see. Speak to the Israelites, saying, any man or any person who becomes ritually defiled from contact with a corpse or is distant, whether among you or from among your posterity, he may make a Passover offering to God. On or on a distant way. Okay, there is a dot on the hay of I don't want to ruin it. Is it Ruchela? Is that the word? Did I get it right?
I don't know.
In order to tell us that it is done, it does not have to be so distant that it absolutely prevents him from offering the Passover sacrifice. Rather, it means, this is Rashi, by the way, that he was outside the threshold of the courtyard during the entire time of slaughtering. When bringing the second Passover, one may have both matzah and leaven with him in his house, as it is not a festival per se, and leaven is only prohibited to eat together with eating the Passover sacrifice itself, as it must be eaten with matzos.
I
There
like
we
that.
go.
You get like a double bracha there. The Pesach sacrifice, the second Pesach is like, you get your opportunity to eat matzah and chametz, man. That's awesome, man. See how special God loves us. See how much God loves us.
Sometimes you need something to wash the matzah down.
I got smart. I got chocolate covered matzah this year.
Oh yeah? Ooh.
Oh, it's good. It's good too.
So what do you think of the message of liberation in the Passover story, John? Because it seems to be about freedom and about finally being liberated. I mean, the first commandment, I am the Lord your God who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage.
I think it's a clear indication that that's what separates the God of Israel from other gods. Some people say, Muslims will make the argument, well, it's we have the same God as you, or Christians will say the same thing, like God the Father is the God of Israel. But I think here, I think it's pretty clear that the God of Israel is a separate, distinct God from what other people believe in, because first they don't believe in this, what you just said, I am your Lord, your God, who took you out of the land of Egypt from bondage. I think that makes it pretty clear that this God is distinct, making him distinctly known. Like, this is what this is what I'm known for. I'm making you my people. And then you're making me your God in this special relationship.
Hi,
And
Carla.
no one else has that special connection. And so I don't know. I mean, that's my particular. I mean, you could be a monotheist, right? You could technically believe in a turtle, right? I believe in one turtle that created the universe. Does that in particular mean that you're a monotheist? Okay, yeah, I guess so. I mean, you're a monotheist, right? But you believe in a turtle, And so, I mean, I guess you could believe in anything and be a monotheist, right?
You
But in
know,
this particular case, like you're saying, this liberation, I mean, that God liberates, I think that's a pretty distinct. I don't know. What do you think, James? What do you think it's trying to say?
I think it was comforting to some degree to be removed from bondage. I think that what Passover should be bringing up to everybody is, how do we keep that freedom? How do we maintain that freedom from bondage? And if you read the Torah, the Israelites were dying to go back.
Mm.
Oh, what do you mean, this matzah from heaven? We don't even have to work for our food. We don't have to plant anything. We don't have to hunt. We have to slaughter. We have all the nutrients we could get. Golly, I wish I was back in Egypt where I could have fish,
Quail.
which, you have to work for. Or, at least we had meat back in Egypt.
Everything was provided for them. Their clothes never wore out. Their food was provided for them. They were healed when they were sick. Basically, it was like being like a child in your mother and father's house. Like, your mother took care of you, your father took care of you always. And and then when they got to the Holy Land, it was completely different. They were like let loose. They graduated from college. They graduated from high school, and now it's off to college. So yeah, it's hard when you're on your own. And, just it's something to realize. It's something for us to realize that it's God always provides for us, even though how bad it is. You got to realize, God is the one feeding us. God is clothing us. God's protecting us from the snake and the scorpion and all the critters. A Rebbe, the Rebbe taught a Torah. I wanted to add. I don't mean to divulge.
Oh,
Digress to
divulge.
another point, but the Rebbe used to talk like what's so special about matzah? Like, we learned this mitzvah that Pesach is all about. They had to leave Egypt in a rush, and the bread didn't rise, and it was flat. It was just water and flour. It didn't rise, and they left. And the Rebbe really hit home. Wanted to hit home on this point that chametz bread, it needs to be put in the oven to cook, and it rises, and it fills it with hot air. And matzah doesn't have any hot air. It's flat. It's with absence of any sort of hot air. And Rebbe used to talk that, like, that the emphasis should be on the hot air, the rising up. And so hardiness, when someone's stuck up and conceited, and they're snot, right, they puff up. When you're a snot nosed little prick, right, you kind of puff up, and you're full of hot air, right? So the Rebbe you taught that, like, when you're a stranger in a strange land, you gotta be meek, you gotta be humble, you gotta have humility,
Respectful.
you gotta be respectful. And so that's really the cause of that's really just going to be the cause of the redemption. Like, if you want God to redeem you and bring you out of your bondage, you have to understand, like, you're humble, you have to understand your place in the world, just like Abraham, right? Abraham is considered one of the most kindest man. He's chesed. He embodies kindness. He's the opposite of haughtiness. God schlepped him out from his father's house, his mother's house, his father's land, the nation where he was born, to be his people, right? So the Exodus story, the story of Abraham and Isaac and Jacob is just like another retelling of the story of Exodus, and that's what all redemptions and exiles are. They're retelling of the same story. rinse and repeat. And so if we want to get out of this gullus, the gullus of Edom, right? We're currently in the exile of Edom, the Western exile. We have to have humility, and we have to lose our pridefulness. And I think a lot of Jews in the West, they're full of pride. They're full of hot air. We got a lot of Harvey Weinsteins that think they can do whatever they want whenever they want.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, you can't do whatever you want whenever you want, because God freed you from the slavery of Egypt, of Pharaoh, to be His people, meaning that now you're a slave of Hashem. You're no longer slave of the world, but slave of God.
I had an interesting thought.
What's that?
Go ahead, Rosalie. What's happening?
With the thing about with Kabbalah, it's like we wandered 40 years in the desert. They turn around and tell you can't learn Kabbalah until you're at least 40 years old.
Yeah, I mean,
I just made that thought. That thought just hit me.
Well, the number. I mean, every number means something in Judaism. I mean, it's you learn. It's what is it? You're at 3, you finally get your
haircut.
You get your haircut. At 5, you start learning Torah. There's 5 to 13, you're bar mitzvahed. So 3 is a holy number. It means stability, right? You need at least 3 legs on a chair for it to stand, right? 3 also means shalom, peace. 5 is 5 souls of 5 levels of a soul. 13 is a holy number. 13 tribes of Israel, right? 18 you marry. 18's life, chai, right? 18 and so every number there's a purpose of what each stage you go on in life. And the Baal Shem Tov taught that the 40 years and the 40 journeys and the 42 journeys along the way in the 40 years is also about us, that we go through periods in our life, that we're here for this certain amount of time, and then God leads us to another destination, and God takes us to here, there, and we travel along the world. So, us too, we also go through, wandering the desert until we get to where we need to be. Amen.
I'm thinking Noah. 40 days and 40 nights the rains fell, and if there's anybody who drifted, it was Noah and his family. And God brought him to the shore, to dry land in the end, but it was 40 days, 40 nights, a cleansing, an exodus, really.
Yep.
In many ways, a redemption. That's the Noah story, is a redemption.
Yeah.
I was wondering if
you build yourself an ark, from the harsh waters of reality,
I was wondering also if, just being human nature and our childish qualities, even as grown-ups, the presence of God was there the whole time, from Sinai till the first temple. I wonder if this is why maybe God had to hide himself from Israel, which means from the world as well. I mean, there was one place you could go and know that God's presence was there. You had a pillar of cloud, a pillar of fire. No matter what, there was always a presence. But Shabbat is the day that God is most accessible. Not that God isn't accessible any time in any place, but He's most accessible on Shabbat. And I wonder if God needed to hide himself and draw the world to him, because maybe I always wondered if the Israelites might have felt a little spoiled to some. I don't mean to say that. I know it's a terrible thing to say, but I mean, look what God did for them in just, getting them out of Egypt and everything that Egypt and they went through. I just wonder if there had to come a time when God's presence had to be, where he had to remove his presence a little more and draw the world out, so that when when it is made, it'll be that much more powerful. Maybe just something I was seeing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a very on point observation. Sometimes the distance makes the heart grow fonder. They say, when you're away from someone for a certain period of time, you reminisce about you miss them. You reminisce. God, it's like a game of peekaboo. They say that we just had the holiday of Purim, and the holiday of Purim is basically that not one time is the name of God or even the word God or the name of God even mentioned in the book of Exodus. I said the book of Exodus,
Esther.
Of Ezra.
book of Esther for Purim.
Esther.
So at the end, but God is always there anyway, right? At the end of the day, you can see that if it wasn't for Hakadosh Baruch Hu, the Holy One, blessed be He, then you
Mm-hmm.
know what would what be at the end of the day? What would they be? I mean, yeah, I think they're. I don't know. I think they're a little. I mean, yeah, the Israelites, they don't get a good rap, man, because they earn the reputation. They're spoiled brats,
Mm-hmm.
and they are a little.
Hey,
A
we
little
have
bit,
Christians.
maybe.
We got Christians, Muslims, and pagans watching us on YouTube. And he says
That's my
shalom.
that's my channel. That's my goofy name that I made.
What's that? What was the
Rosalie
name?
is saying that there's a person out there in the chat, but in YouTube, that's me. I was saying.
Okay.
Right on. There we
But
go.
yeah.
Shalom,
Appreciate
shalom.
it. Shalom. So,
Shalom.
So anyway,
Proximate,
um,
yes.
anyway, may the redemption come. May we during the Seder, at the end of the Seder, we say, this year in exile, next year in Jerusalem. So, you
Mm-hmm.
know, hopefully, hopefully the Messiah comes and redeems us.
I hope we're ready for him. There's two ideas. Either he comes when we need him the most, or he comes when we're ready. One, he has to. If it waited any longer, it wouldn't be worth it, or that the way was prepared so well that when he came,
Mm-hmm.
it was a blessing.
Yeah, have we actually made that 50th step? Yeah.
Man, the craziness out there, though, I can't believe. I'm in shock. I mean, I know there's always crazy people out there. I'm an American. We got all kinds here. But the amount of anti-Israel Jew hate that's out there is just blowing my mind. They
I
don't even know
know.
what they hate. They don't even know what they're griping about. They know nothing about these people, the Jews or the Palestinian or Gazans or whoever. Um, I'm just shocked. I really am. I wanted to also to our Christian folks out there who's celebrating Easter. I thought a nice Easter wish for you and yours here on this lovely pagan holiday everybody goes for. You tell me if this just is not the most enticing, most beautiful little holiday of the of the pagan world, huh? Look at that.
Yeah, back when 55. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I got a Passover one here. Here we go. There's a nice Passover meme.
Passover.
Get it? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
See? Yeah, isn't that great? Yeah. Okay. All right. There's a Passover meme. I got a couple more here. Hang on real quick. This is a Palestinian prior to 1948, right there. And on the other hand, not to be
Yes.
outdone, Palestine before 1964. So, little history lesson in memes. One more here because, yeah, I just have to because, yeah, that's just the way it is.
That one's good.
Y'all are nuts. If you're still a Democrat at this point, man, just be independent. Be an American. You don't need to.
I mean, yeah. I
You're,
mean, Democrats are losing their marbles, man. I mean, this is just, you know, even Bill Maher. Bill Maher met with Trump. He had a dinner with him apparently, and Bill Maher,
yes.
I like that one.
yeah, free
I have one
Palestine.
more. I wanted to get that off before we're done. Okay. Yeah, he did. He had dinner. Go ahead.
And
Yeah.
Trump. He's basically said, Trump is a normal person, and Bill Maher is one of the persons with TDS. I mean, he's the father of TDS. I mean, there's nobody on the left that has more Trump derangement syndrome than Bill Maher. And if you can get Bill Maher to come around and realize, Trump isn't a bad guy and the left is out of control,
Mm-hmm.
you're in bed when the leader even says it's time to jump ship. What else can you do? But jump ship. It's the anniversary of the Titanic 2 days ago. It was Wednesday was the anniversary of the
Oh,
Titanic.
Something
You
like
I
know,
that.
didn't know that.
the Democrat. This is an allegory for the Democratic Party. They hit the iceberg with all their garbage that they believe in, the LGBTQ and men can be women
MOUSE.
and just defending. I mean, when you have judges, leftist Obama appointed judges that are just on the side of criminals and fighting for them to stay here in the United States so they don't get deported.
Yeah, that was great. I loved that.
It's
Loved
like
that little thing.
Fonzie. They say jump the shark because that one episode, one of the last
Yeah.
episodes, he literally jumps a shark, right? Which was it was just an outrageous moment in the sitcom. It was just stupid, right? I mean, literally, the Democratic Party has jumped a shark,
Yeah.
quite literally. And, it's
Yeah.
just too much. They're saying Bernie and AOC is going to be the front runner of the Democratic Party.
That cracks me up. That right there. That should tell you something.
I like Bernie. I think Bernie is a kind of a likable, person. AOC, I don't know. I think
no, she's got to go. God, she
she's
is
like an egg that you painted for Easter. You put the eyes, you put the hair on. She's like an eggshell. She's empty inside. But unfortunately, this is what you got. I mean,
She must be. There's blonde jeans bungee jumping somewhere in that broad. I'm telling you, she's fucking weird.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's one of my favorites.
Yes.
Then it hit me in the head again.
Ding dong. She'd be a pretty girl if she didn't speak.
Oh yeah, that's what the northern guys say about the southern women.
Oh,
They'd be okay until they open mouth. Yep.
yeah.
I heard that a long time ago. I was in high school when I heard that. Cracked me up back then.
I'm getting a couple more together because I didn't get them all on
last week.
But okay, all right, here we go. This is one that'll fit right here. Y'all know that the girls went up into space. They had a
yeah. Spaceballs. I didn't see that one.
Yeah, the sequel. You know my love of Godzilla. So I had to bring this one. Yeah.
What's it say on the bottom? Preferred nouns are what? Where are the preferred nouns?
My preferred pronouns are. And
gotcha.
That's my kind of lizard.
Okay.
This one's just funny. It's not really, but.
Yes.
We're not deporting you because it's funny.
Right.
Have I exhausted all of them? I think I have one more I want to get up here. One more that I wasn't able to get earlier because I was taking my time. Or I wasn't taking my time. I was in a bit of a hurry. Here we go. All-woman space crew, which is cool. Good thing the flight was fully automated so they didn't need to parallel park.
Yeah, I sent you that one. Yeah.
They're so bad.
Yeah.
So bad. Now they're saying they didn't even go.
They didn't actually go into outer space. They only went into the orbit, the kind of like close to outer space. They went into the orbit of the Earth. They didn't quite go into outer space.
No, they didn't. And this was no big deal to me. Yeah, William Shatner did it. He actually got to go up in it, and the look on his face, and he got weightless. You could just see that look. And then he wrote on paper, "Eat it, Picard," because he went in.
Yeah.
Space first. I thought that
he was just. I mean, it brought him back to his Jewish roots. Like now, God, how awesome God is. He was afraid. And no bones about it. He was afraid. He didn't know what to expect, and he got dacked down. And it's like he wanted to kiss the ground if he didn't do it per se. But he said, you never know how good we have it here on this planet until you're off of it." It scared the shit out of him, literally. And you played this Captain Kirk guy for years, and you didn't have. I mean, you couldn't fathom that. And now he has a working knowledge, a real working knowledge of what it's really like, and it's like, yeah.
So congratulations. I would go up too, but I wouldn't bring in Daisy, and I sure as heck wouldn't be staring into a camera. I'd be digging it. I'd be doing all kinds of goofy dance moves up there, and zero gravity. Imagine zero gravity dance. Wouldn't that be just hilarious to watch? I think it'd be hilarious anyway. Just don't eat beans before you go up there, okay?
Right.
I don't think the oxygen scrubbers are that good these days.
No.
So there is no.
I was going to say, the Air Force guys say when you go up in the plane with them, eat bananas because they taste the same coming up as they are going down. They hit the G-force and do all the tumbling. Yeah.
I'm looking a little farther on the days of Passover.
I posted them all in the orphans.
Yeah.
And
maybe
abused.
We could read the Haftorah. We could finish off with the Haftorah. What do y'all say?
Go for it.
Sure. What Haftorah? I'll read it if you want. I'll volunteer myself to read it.
2 Samuel chapter 22.
2 Samuel chapter 22. Let's see if I got
Shmuel.
Where is that at? Because I'm on complete and it's not giving me complete. I don't have a Haftorah for today.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm positive. It only has the first 4, so I might have to go to 8. All right, back to 1. Let me see if it's on one.
Okay. I was reading the wrong. Okay, so there's a Haftorah for every day of Passover.
There's supposed to be, but there isn't.
Yeah. There should be Haftorah for the intermediate Shabbos of Pesach, for the 8th day of Pesach.
Okay, yeah. We got
second day of Pesach. What are we on this? We're not on the second day, right?
We're on the 6th.
But
6.
I know there's a Haftorah on the 1.
How about this? I volunteer myself to read all the Haftorahs for all the Pesachs. How about that?
That's a lot of.
That's all right. I'll do it. Why not?
Don't have a whole lot of time.
What did you read last week? When you read last week?
Yeah, we do. We got as long as we want. All right.
Yeah. All right.
If you don't want me to read, you don't want me to read. What can I do?
I don't mind you reading it all, my friend.
Now mine's only got to the 4th portion.
I'm happy to have you here. So.
Yeah, I know.
All right, Haftorah for the first day of Pesach, Joshua, chapter 3.
3.
All right, here we go. Actually, you know what? I'll take that back. Maybe this is actually a lot to read. Now that I'm looking at it, there's a lot to read.
I'll read this one.
I put my foot in my mouth.
Yeah.
I'll read this one. How's that?
I want to read, but just tell me, what are we reading? What do you want me to read?
You got to read the Haftorahs only on the first one.
Chapter 3, verse 5. And then it skips. You read 3 verses there, and this is the Chabad custom, of course. You read 5, 6, and 7. You skip over to chapter 5 and start at 2.
Oh, I see. Yeah, okay. I'll do it. I can do it. The Haftorah theme is connected to Pesach in that it describes the Jewish people's first observance of the Pesach offering in the land of Israel other than one time. The people have not celebrated this holiday during the entire trek throughout the desert. Firstly, God had made it observant conjoint upon the people's entry into the land for the first time. And secondly, because God has specifically allowed only circumcised males to eat of the sacrifice. And the Jews were exempt from circumcising themselves during the trek of the desert. Chronologically, the Haftorah is the third taken from the book of Joshua. The first Haftorah is Vizot HaBaracha, the opening passage in the book of Yeshua, described how God commands Joshua to assume the leadership of the Jewish people after Moses' passing. And second, the Haftorah for the Pashat of Shelach. The next passage of the book of Joshua describes how Joshua sent spies to report on the defenses of the city of Jericho, the people's first target in their conquest of the land of Israel. The present Haftorah describes how the Jewish people prepared to cross the Jordan River into the land of Israel, and skipping the account of their crossing on how to prepare the attack of Jericho. Joshua sent out spies on the 5th day of Nisan in the year 2489. They returned 3 days later on the 8th of Nisan. The following day, Joshua led the people to Shittim, where they had been camped on the eastern bank of the Jordan River. Joshua instructed the people's sheriffs to calculate among them instructions for the people to follow the Ark of the Covenant as they crossed the Jordan River. After this, Joshua addressed the people himself. Joshua said to the people, "Prepare yourselves for tomorrow. When you cross the Jordan River, God will do wonders in your midst." The next morning, Joshua spoke to the priests, saying, "Normally the Levites carry the ark, but today you carry the Ark of the Covenant and pass before the people." They carried the Ark of the Covenant, and they went forth before the people. God said to Joshua, "Today I will begin to make you esteemed in the sight of all of Israel, so that they will know that I will be with you just as I was with Moses." The priests carried the ark into the Jordan River, and as they did so, the water split, allowing the people to cross. And the people camped at Gilgal, where they had erected a monument out of 12 boulders that they took from the riverbed as they had been commanded to do so. They then prepared to go to Shechem, taking these 12 boulders with them. They then performed the rites between the Mount Gerizim and Mount Ebal, is that how you say it, Ebal? Also as they had been commanded to do so. After this, still on the same day, Joshua led the people back to Gilgal. At that time, following the days, the 11th day of Nisan, God said to Joshua, "It has been 40 years since the delayed Israel has been circumcised prior to leaving Egypt. Therefore, since most of them have died out and most of the males have been born since then, make yourself sharp knives and circumcise the Israelites as a group for the second time. Furthermore, for the Israelites who have been circumcised back then, only perform the first." God says to them, "Perform the first stage of the circumcision, just removing the foreskin, since the second stage, peeling back the membrane, have only become obligatory from when the Torah was given at Sinai. Therefore, you must then perform the second stage also." So too Joshua then made himself a sharp knife and circumcised the Israelites at that place. Therefore it became known as a mound of foreskins, for they had piled up all the circumcised foreskins as a mound. And the word for which Joshua explained to the people why it had to be that they were circumcised. He said, when God promised the land of Israel to Abraham's descendants, he made a possession for it to be conjoined upon the circumcision of themselves. Therefore, in order to take possession of this land, you must be circumcised. For all of the people who came out of Egypt, all the males of military age died in the desert during their journeys after they had left Egypt. For all the people who left Egypt were circumcised, but they had not been circumcised of any of the people born in the desert during the journey after they had left Egypt. For the Israelites traveled in the desert for 40 years up until now. Military-aged men who had left Egypt perished because they did not obey God's word. Therefore, God swore to them that he would not let them enter the land of Israel, and God swore to their fathers to give a land flowing of milk and honey. But he raised up their children in their stead instead. It was them who Joshua circumcised, for they were uncircumcised, since no one had been circumcised on the way. After all the people had been circumcised, they remained where they were camped, and they waited until the regular men laid siege to Jericho, until they recovered from the operation. God said to Joshua, "Pharaoh told Moses that according to his archaeological observations, that the star of Raha foretold a blood and slaughter rising up against them in the desert. Pharaoh interpreted this as a bad omen for Israel people, warning them that a tragedy will befall them, for if they would leave Egypt and venture into the desert. The mixed multitude have been taunting them about this prediction for 40 years, but today, now your blood has been shed through this circumcision, and it is clear that this is what Pharaoh foresaw. Not a tragedy. I have rolled up the meaning of the disgrace of Egypt off of you. Joshua named this place Gilgal, meaning rolling, which is the name to this day. Encamped at Gilgal, that the Israelites observed the rituals of Passover sacrifice on the 14th day of Nisan, towards the evening in the plains of Jericho. From the morning after the first day of Pesach, on the very day after waving the omen of barley and offering up its sacrifice. They ate of the produce of the land, matzah, a grain. The supply of manna that had been gathered on the 7th of Adar, the day that Moses had died, ran out on the 16th of Nisan, the morning following the day of Pesach. As they ate from the produce of the land, it was only because the Israelites had no manna left, so they ate the yield from the Canaanites that year. For the taste of the heavenly manna was superior to the taste of earthly food. When Joshua was in the outskirts of Jericho, he raised up his eyes and saw a man standing the opposite of him, with a sword drawn out from his hand. Joshua approached the man and said to him, "Are you on the side of our enemies?" he asked. The man said, "No, I am not a mortal. I am the angel Michael, the celestial chief of the Jewish people, the host of God, and I have come to you as your aid. For the walls of Jericho are so strong that no man's army can topple them." This is the same angel whom God planned to send to lead the Jewish people to Moses at the time that Moses refused God's plan, insisting that God can lead the people himself. God fell on his face and prostrated himself before him. "What does my Lord have to say to his servant, the chief of God's host, to Joshua?" He says, "Remove your shoes from your feet, for the place that you stand is holy." And Joshua did so, and the angel informed Joshua that he had come to assure him of the success of his battles against the city of Jericho. Jericho was closed with iron gates, and they were shut with copper bolts on the account of the presence of the Israelites, but no one was allowed in or out. Immediately after a week-long holiday of Pesach on the 22nd of Nisan, Joshua began circling the city of Jericho, whose wall fell 7 days later on the 28th of Nisan, enabling Jericho to conquer the city. A miraculous victory had made it clear that God was with Joshua, and his fame spread throughout the land.
Yep.
Oof. I like that. That was pretty bad. It's like when final act comes in, you got big boy coming in and just laying the smack down. James, you are muted, my friend. Brojo's 420 Cafe. Why create foreskins only to command them to be removed? Doesn't the creator like his foreskins high? All exclamation mark, question mark, look at who's back. So the question is, that's a famous question. So from the Jewish perspective, God creates man perfect, but he wants us to take part in the creation of man. So that's the halakhically that's the halakhic explanation of why we circumcise, is that yes, a human being's perfect for who he is, but we circumcise that we take place in the creation of that perfect being. So we're taking part in creation.
Wasn't
Also, from a
Moses?
Kabbalistic perspective, from a Kabbalist perspective, the Zohar says it's like, what does it say? It's like removing there's a piece of a human that's unusable, klippa, impurity. It's like it's an allegory of like humbling yourself, that not, you shouldn't think of yourself so perfect, even though you are technically perfect because you're made in the image of God. You shouldn't be so hardy to think that. So you take a piece of yourself to have humility.
It's the cleep is a good analogy in that it's often likened to a shell or a crustacean that surrounds you, that prevents the light from shining through. That connection with not just God but other people as well. Circumcise your heart. Remove the barrier around your heart. Same thing. Same thing. And this is just so passe. This is so passe. The girls don't go for this anymore. The girls like a clean cut man. Oh. Ba-boom, ba-boom.
Zestfully clean. Zestfully clean.
It's like I was watching this Jewish comedian. I think he's Jewish, and he was saying funny. It was being funny. He's like, Muslims are our brother. That's why we have to think Muslims are our brothers, because an older brother always wants to one up the other brother, right? So oh, why do Muslims act like Jews? They always want to one up them. Oh, you Jews fast for one day. Oh, we're gonna fast for Ramadan 40 days. We're gonna one up. Oh, and then at the end, the zinger is like, oh, Jewish people, they circumcise their boys. Oh shoot, we're gonna circumcise the boys and the girls.
And the girls.
It's like, I was like, oh man, I was on the floor rolling around.
That's true. They and the only time I think the Jews are ever really spoken ill of is when they're not being faithful to God in the Quran. So I think that's how the Israelites maintain their liberty, or their freedom, is by maintaining a relationship with Hashem. And I think that's how Israel's going to win this war now. Is it going to be through bombs? It's going to
love to do that, right? They love to screen anti-Semitism. If you speak critically of a Jew, you're anti-Semite. Well, guess what? Every prophet that ever existed is an anti-Semite, because all they did was criticize the Jewish people. God is the biggest anti-Semite. Okay, Hitler wanted to kill 6 million Jews. Guess what? God wanted to kill all of them with Moses.
Yeah.
So if you think Hitler was bad, then guess what? God one-upped him. So we have to really be put things into perspective. When we really have to think of things logically here, guys. There's a right way and a wrong way.
Think Noah.
What happened?
How's that?
Think Noah. As Bill Cosby says, "Hey Noah, how long can you tread water?" Yeah.
I want you to build an ark. Right. What's an ark? Bill Cosby bit about Noah.
Oh yeah. Hey Noah,
it's good.
How long can you tread water?
So should we go on for the second night of Passover, or what should we do? The second night of Passover is even just as long.
Yeah, they don't have it online. The half Torah's online, except for the first one.
The second day has Malachim 2, Kings, Second Kings.
Yeah, Kings 2, yes.
About 20. They skip around there too. Well, it's 8 days worth of reading, y'all. I mean, we gotta.
Well, how long are you going for? When are you closing the show?
Usually close the show about 9 minutes ago.
Oh,
but
okay.
Since you're here, it's a special edition of the Nexus tonight. We're gonna go. We can get everybody into here. Let's get some atheists in here and rock it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm up for it.
Yeah.
Old school Nexus, man. Everybody shows up. Pagans, Muslims, Jews. Let's get them all in here, man. Let's talk.
Yeah. Go find Vaughn.
Oh, back in the day, those were the days. You got to earn it. You got to earn your freedom. We're on it. I can't on Rumble Studio. I was doing it partly on Rumble, then partly on YouTube, and then we went to Rumble. And that was when we were using StreamYard. But Rumble Studio, if you end it, you end all streams together. I can't. pull off. So we just
Mhm.
go as long as we go.
Okay.
Definitely. I can. I don't have the commentary you do.
Right.
But I
You
could.
want to know commentary? Let's see.
Well, isn't that what
Well,
you're
when I
reading? No,
read the Haftorah, it was the commentary was injected within the story, so it gave you context to
Right.
to
yeah, that
what
was
was going
great.
on. Yeah.
So a new Gutnick. Ooh.
Yeah, it's what is it official? What's it called? I forget what it's called. It's called I don't know what it's not called the Sputnik. It's called something else. Let's see. What's its official name? It doesn't have an official name. It's just called the Chumash with Torah with commentary by Rashi, Oklanos, and based on the works of the Lubavitcher Rebbe. It doesn't. I guess it's just called Chumash. They don't have a special name for it.
No edition, no fancy edition name.
No, nothing.
So that's about 20 years. It makes about sense. The one you sent me, my Gutnick, 2003 edition.
That's the old one. Yeah, that's the old version.
Yeah.
I guess they don't do. I guess they don't make those anymore. They kind of. So that's a collector's edition now. When you think about it, huh? Very good.
Yeah.
I mean,
How's Zionist am I? How's
James. Oh, there you go.
It's from there it is.
Friends of the IDF.
Yep.
James says
Zionist.
earlier that Pesach was freeing. It was like liberating, like the people, and that's kind of like what you have to believe. God. You're a slave of God. And people go, how could that really be freeing to be a slave? And sometimes people have this. They have, if you think about the problems of the world today, and you think about all the issues that people have, they have anxiety, they have depression, they have, OCD, and they just have all these illnesses that people and ailments that people have, and they take all this medication to fix their life. They have uppers to bring them up, and then they have downers to bring them down, and they're all up and down, right? And money, pills that make them poop, and pills that make them not poop, and pills that make your blood pressure go up, and pills that make your blood pressure go down. And people are on 20 medications, and people are whacked out of their gourd, and people are just, you live in this chaotic world of keeping up with the Joneses, and you think you have to be better than the next guy, and I have to look a certain way, and I have to buy the new Nike sneakers that came out because I got to be hip, and you have all these pressures of the world that tells you who to be, and tell you who to like. What's freeing about God freeing the Israelites from Egypt to be His people, to be slaves unto Him, is that it removes all that from you. That you're liberated from having to be something that you're not, and God is saying, no, I made you who you are. Like Psalms say, I know every hair on your head. I created you. And Genesis says, I created you in my image. Psalm says, I know every hair on your head. I formed you in the womb. So what God is telling us in the story of Exodus, and why He gave us 613 commandments, is that being enslaved to God actually liberates you from the mishigash of the world. So that the correct way to live. God literally tells you the first things to do when you first wake up, throughout the day until you go to bed. Tells you how to drink, how to eat, how to have sex, how to think, how to act, how to dress. Literally, God tells you what to do, and God telling you what to do is a more ethical, moral, and a better way of living than what the world tells you what you have to do, which is always changing and makes you crazy. So the only
William Freeman's here, and he says, bows respectfully.
Will Freeman says, "Where is his beard?" I know, I shaved. I know. I went to a seder. And I didn't want to embarrass a rabbi by having a bigger beard than him, so I shaved.
Yes, my
At least
man
the
has
fashion
aged.
respect is real.
I went to a Chabad house in Long Branch, New Jersey, and it's right along the water, and it's beautiful. Oh man, the Chabad house is like giant Kiddush hall, huge cathedral. What I don't know what the Jewish terminology, the place where they pray. It's just
Sanctuary.
amazing. Sanctuary. Thank you, James. I don't know why I say cathedral like I'm Catholic or something, but it was so beautiful. It was amazing, and I had a great time. I love a seder. I drank my 4 cups of wine. I ate my matzah. Man, I was stuffed.
Yeah, and I had the same reaction. I did too. Because I had the same reaction. I don't know if it was the horseradish or whatever, or the charoset. You know, it's like that was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, we never blame the wine for anything.
if you one thing I've noticed about folks outside of the Torah area is that Shabbat to them is a burden, and we can't. I can't write. I can't write down anything. I can't. I can't use scissors. I mean, I can't cook. I can't light a fire, and it's so constricting. But to the Jew, and I say those who are close to him and whatnot, it is the exact opposite. It is the day that you are completely free of man.
Right.
You're free of
For modern convenience,
and the more you keep Shabbat, the less likely you will ever be a slave in the world. And yeah, but to the outside world, that's slavery. To us, when you say slave to God, it's like, well, keeping Shabbat. There's a detailed list of things you cannot do, and people would find that to be constriction, and that's actually freedom to the Jew. So you just have to earn it. You have to keep it. He frees them, but then it's up to them to keep themselves free. I give you everything you need. I'm going to send you prophets. We're going to build a temple. We're going to give you, but it's up to you to keep your freedom. And if Moses' arms weren't up, the army would lose. And who was he fighting at that time? And Joshua, everybody came.
When he split the Red Sea, he held his arms up, but if he lowered his arms, the waters would fall. So Joshua and Aaron held his arms up. Is that not what you're talking about?
No, it was in battle.
Yeah,
and I forgot who he was fighting, but
Amalek.
It wasn't. Was it Amalek at the time? And it was every time Moses would keep his arms, lower his arms, the Israelites would lose. So they had to. Joshua and everybody came up and held, and Aaron and everybody would hold his hands up just to keep them going.
Winning.
There's a reason why I'm bringing this up. There's an analogy, and it's completely right over my head. I
don't remember that off the top of my head. I have to look at that up again.
All right, let me see.
Bring back the beard. Okay, we'll bring it back. Bring it back.
It's good to see you too.
I do shows now on TikTok, and they're extremely successful. I get like 100 people, when I do my live streams, and productive conversation. A lot of it's trolls. Trolls will come in and be like, "You killed them, my God. You hate Jesus. You eat blood. Babies. Things like that."
Yeah, whatever.
Every once in a while, you get good, decent conversations. I met a lot of good people on that. And I find it much more productive conversation. You find more intelligent people than you do on YouTube. I think YouTube is just, I don't
Troll
know.
haven.
It's just it's not what it was. It's not what it was. I miss Google Plus. I miss Google Hangout.
Oh man, yeah.
That was something they had going there. And the number one topic discussed on Google Plus was God. It's like 80% of the hangouts they had. It was like all of them were religion based, and I guess they didn't like that. That's just too bad, because that was a heck of a conversation.
Absolutely.
You just have to go through a lot more steps to get there. What's your TikTok name?
Gishla.
Carlos. Gishla.
I have a main channel, Gishla, just like the way I spell it, Gishla, and I call myself Rav Gishla on my second channel, because sometimes I do get banned. I get suspended for a week or two because TikTok doesn't really like you talking about religion. It's not really it's like what you said about Google Plus. they don't really want you to talk about religion. So like they'll say like, "Oh, your topics are hateful. You're talking about Judaism. It's a hateful. It's a hateful." I get strike for hate. But then when I get banned on my one, I go to the second one, and then on my second one, I go to the first one. So I just bounce
Mhm.
back and forth. You know, which I don't mind. It is what it is. I don't care. Yeah, G Place was.
Yep.
Yeah, Nadia used to
Best.
sleep on the Hangouts. Remember Nadia sleeping on the Hangouts?
Oh man.
Trans.
You ever talk to Brett Keane much?
I used to talk
Brett,
to Brett like around 2 years ago, and then it kind of dropped off. I haven't seen
He's
him.
kind of dropped off out of sight on purpose.
really?
Yeah.
I stopped
Hmm.
doing the hang. I actually stopped doing YouTube and stuff because I got swatted. Believe it or not, I don't know if you were. But you remember? Did I tell you? Ever tell you this, James?
No.
Yeah,
No, I did not know that.
the
Mhm.
trolls had me swatted. They said I had a pew pew, and then I was gonna unalive everybody and myself, and 20 men with guns came, surrounded me. It was bad. Vaughn was there. Vaughn with me, and it was just me and Vaughn chit chatting. We were talking, having the time of my life, and they came in all directions, man. It was a really terrifying experience. So I kind of deleted everything I had on Rumble and YouTube and X and Odyssey and all. I just deleted everything. The only thing I have on social media is my old Odyssey channel, which I was teaching Judaism. I still have those videos up on Odyssey. Other than that, I have no social media presence other than TikTok.
Wow.
It's
I
it's
can't
sad.
believe that. You of
Yeah,
all people. I mean, I hear Tim Pool or, Steven Crowder or, somebody will get swatted or I would never thought they would have swatted you
yeah.
of all people. Of all people.
I'm a bad person, yeah. And the
Bad
cops,
boy.
they still arrested me. And I said, I didn't, I, you know, I was defending myself. I said, you have no, some asshole on the internet says I'm a bad dude. You patted me down. I have no weapons. And they wanted to search my car. I said, no, you have no, but they were going to take me away, and they would, how cops are. They're, you know, whatever. And so I said, okay, you know what? I tell the main guy, I said, come on, search my car for a goof. Not even a knife. They couldn't even find. Even the cop goes, couldn't even find anything that could be construed as a weapon. Couldn't even find anything that could be construed as a weapon, and they still arrested me. They still say, well, you know what? We still got a phone call because of you, so we're gonna have to book you. And I'm like, wow, yeah. That's why
For
people
what?
hate cops. Why
What
people
was the
don't like you.
charge?
Not nothing. It just ended up they took me in, and eventually I was just released.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like domestic violence without the violence.
yeah.
Yeah.
It was
No,
it was, it
serious.
was
Yeah, if you get called on by domestic violence, someone's going to jail. It might not be
Mhm.
you, or it could be the person who called. I said, call the person that called. They're the ones that made the false statement, not me.
it's a shame that and they don't know who does it. They spoof their numbers, they hide their identity, and they make these phone calls. It's an
Burner phones.
epidemic. It's an epidemic. A lot of people every day people get swatted, and it's a shame. People die. You hear all the times people die from being
Mhm.
swatted, and and nothing gets done about it. Only in America.
Only in yeah.
Anyway, God bless America. I love America. Make America great again.
That's right.
I want to make Judaism great again, guys. That's what I'm all about. Let's make Chabad great again. Let's make God great again. That's what I want to do.
Amen.
We're trying.
Every
Make
day.
Ger great again.
Uh-huh.
Make being a
Every
Ger
day.
great again. That's what I want to
There
do.
you
Yeah.
go. Yep.
All right, guys, I want to wrap this up so I can get on
Uh-huh.
with what I got to do in there and clean up. We had barbecue tonight, so
Ooh.
uh, I've been brisket.
Rib? What do you got? Ribs, burgers, hot dogs?
Brisket.
We had brisket and some turkey and what was that coleslaw and beans.
You
So it's
barbecue
not so
turkey.
bad.
How do you do that? How do you
It
barbecue a
was a
turkey?
smoked turkey. It was
Oh,
smoked
okay.
turkey.
Smoker. Smoker. Okay.
Yeah. So it was a good meal, but I got to go clean up. You know. We got this
Thank you,
thing.
Jake, for having me.
Thank you. I'm glad to see you around. I'm going to go check you out on TikTok. I didn't think there's anything on there worth watching. What was I wrong? So absolutely. Rosalie, thank you too. As
You're
always.
more than welcome. Shabbat shalom to those who
every
partake.
Thursday. Yes, every Thursday, 8 p.m. Central, whether it's daylight or not, we'll be here and on the Nexus. And you're invited to join in. You can always hit that link at the top of the chat at the show, and that'll get you in straightforward. But thank you, Brojo. Thank you, William. Thank you, Carla, and everybody for joining us in the show. And look forward to seeing you next week right here on the Nexus, folks. And until then, to all the folks out there, have a have a happy Easter.
Shabbat shalom.
It's on that Shabbat shalom, you guys. Be well.
Carlos.